What's all these nonsense?
Lorenzo Marchetti had cameras in every room, every hallway, every corner of his fortress, not because he didn't trust his enemies. He knew exactly where they were, but because he couldn't trust anyone with the one thing that mattered, his son. 3 years, 16 caretakers. All of them failed. One stole medication. Fired. Another treated Dante like furniture. Fired. The third spoke to him like he was stupid, as if paralysis affected his brain. Gone by morning. Then she walked in. Celeste Okafor, 34, Nigerian, quiet, unimpressed by the marble floors, the armed guards, the blood money paying her salary. Enzo's head of security laid out the rules: strict schedule, medication timing, physical therapy protocols, emergency procedures. She listened, nodded, then asked the strangest question anyone had ever asked in that house. Does he like music? For 3 weeks, nothing seemed unusual. Then one night, unable to sleep, Enzo did something he hadn't done in months. He opened the camera feed to his son's room. What he saw stopped his heart. The Marchetti estate sat on 12 acres in the hills outside the city, surrounded by walls that could stop a tank and guards who'd killed for less than a sideways glance. Inside, Lorenzo Marchetti ruled an empire built on fear, precision, and the kind of violence that made grown men whisper his name like a curse. He was 43, tattooed from neck to ankles, every mark a story, every story soaked in blood. His enemies called him the architect because he built empires and buried bodies with the same cold calculation. But none of that power could fix what mattered most. Dante Marchetti was 16 years old and hadn't walked in 3 years. The hit was meant for Enzo. A car bomb in a restaurant parking lot, timed for when the boss would be leaving a meeting. But Dante had begged to come that night, wanted to see his father work, understand the family business. The blast threw him 40 feet, shattered his spine at L1. Instant paralysis from the waist down. Enzo killed 17 men in retaliation, burned Vincent Calabrese's warehouses, drew lines in blood across the entire city. But it didn't bring back his son's legs. It didn't bring back his wife, either. Juliana left 6 months after the attack. Couldn't look at Dante without seeing her own guilt for letting him go that night. Couldn't look at Enzo without seeing the monster who'd painted a target on their family. So Enzo did what he knew how to do. He built a fortress. Cameras. Everywhere. 463 feeds streaming to servers in his office, backed up to secure cloud storage, monitored by a rotating team of former intelligence officers. He could see every entrance, every window, every room where his son breathed. He hired the best doctors, the finest physical therapists, caretakers with impeccable credentials, and he watched them all fail. Caretaker number 4 lasted 2 weeks before Enzo saw her pocketing Dante's pain medication. She was on a plane to nowhere before sunrise. Number 7 talked on her phone for hours while Dante sat alone, staring at walls. Number 11, a licensed nurse with 15 years of pediatric experience, spoke to Dante like he was 5 years old. Does Dante need his juice? Does Dante want his blankie? Enzo fired her during her shift, walked into the room, handed her a check, pointed at the door. My son has a broken spine, not a broken mind. By caretaker 16, Enzo was running out of hope. Then Celeste walked in. She wore simple clothes, black pants, white blouse, hair pulled back in a neat bun. No makeup, no jewelry except a thin silver chain with a small pendant shaped like a musical note. She was beautiful in a way that didn't ask for attention. Warm brown skin, elegant features, eyes that had seen things but hadn't gone cold. Marco, head of security, gave her the standard briefing. Enzo watched from his office on camera feed A17, the one covering the main foyer. The boy's routine is non-negotiable, Marco said, handing her a thick binder. Medication schedule, physical therapy appointments, meal times, bathroom assistance protocols. Mr. Marchetti monitors everything. You step out of line once, you're gone. Understood. Celeste took the binder, flipped through it, set it down. I understand, she said quietly. Her accent was soft, Nigerian roots wrapped in American polish. May I ask a question? What? Does he like music? Marco blinked. What? Music. Does Dante like music? I don't know. Why does that matter? Celeste smiled, small, knowing. It matters. In his office, watching through the camera, Enzo leaned forward. What kind of question is that? That afternoon, Celeste met Dante. Camera feed B09. The sitting room on the second floor where Dante spent most of his days. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the gardens he'd never walk through again. Expensive furniture he never touched. Shelves of books he didn't read. And in the center, a 16-year-old boy in a wheelchair, staring at nothing. Dante had his father's dark hair, his mother's sharp cheekbones. He'd been handsome before the accident. Athletic, popular, the kind of kid who'd have ruled high school. Now he looked hollow, thin. His eyes tracked movement, but held no interest. His hands lay motionless in his lap. Celeste walked in carrying nothing. No medical equipment, no therapy tools, no forced cheerfulness. She didn't introduce herself with the usual script. "Hi, Dante. I'm your new caretaker. We're going to be great friends." Instead, she pulled a chair across the room, scrapey against hardwood, and sat 5 feet away from him. Not hovering, not invading his space. She sat, and she hummed. Quiet, barely audible. A melody that felt old, like something passed down through generations. African rhythms wrapped in wordless comfort. Dante's eyes flicked toward her, then away. She kept humming. In his office, Enzo watched, frowning. What is she doing? 20 minutes passed. Celeste just sat there, humming, occasionally silent, then humming again. Dante didn't react, didn't speak. The boy hadn't spoken in 3 years, not since the day he woke up and realized his legs were gone. But something was different. His breathing had changed. Slower, deeper. The constant tension in his shoulders had eased, just slightly. When dinner time came, Celeste stood smoothly. "I'll bring your meal," she said. Not asking, not baby talking, just stating fact. She left the room. Enzo switched camera feeds, following her through the house. She moved efficiently through the kitchen, prepared the meal exactly according to the dietary plan, carried it back upstairs, set it on the table beside Dante, positioned everything within his reach. "Eat when you're ready," she said. Then she sat back down in her chair, pulled out a small, worn paperback book, started reading. Didn't watch him, didn't hover, just existed in the same space. After 5 minutes, Dante's hand moved. Slowly, reached for the fork. He ate. Enzo stared at the screen. Who was this woman? That night, Enzo pulled her file. Celeste Okafor, age 34, Nigerian immigrant, naturalized citizen 12 years ago. Master's degree in music therapy from Berklee College of Music. Specialized in pediatric care. Employment history, Boston Children's Hospital, Music Therapy Department, 5 years. Stellar reviews. Then gap. 2 years of nothing. No employment. No references. Recent work. Housekeeping services, home care, odd jobs. All entry level. Why would someone with her education be working as a maid? He dug deeper. Marriage certificate. Celeste Okafor married to Dr. Marcus Wright, oncologist. Divorced 3 years ago. Death certificate, Adana Grace Wright. Age 7. Cause of death, complications from acute lymphoblastic leukemia. She lost her daughter. Enzo sat back in his leather chair, surrounded by monitors showing every corner of his fortress, and felt something he hadn't felt in years. Recognition. She knows what it's like to watch a child suffer and be powerless to stop it. He switched back to camera feed B09. Celeste was still there, sitting in that chair, reading her book under a small lamp while Dante slept in his wheelchair, head tilted to the side. She hadn't left him alone. For the first time in 3 years, Enzo felt something that terrified him more than any rival, any raid, any threat to his empire. Hope. Before we go any further, I need to tell you something. This story, it doesn't go where you think it does. There are moments coming that will completely change how you see everything you just witnessed. Moments that will break your heart and put it back together in ways you never expected. So if you want to know what Enzo saw on those cameras, what this woman did that shook the most dangerous man in the city to his core, make sure you're subscribed. Because if you click away now, you'll regret it. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications. This is just the beginning. Now, let's talk about what happened in week 3. The first week, Celeste said maybe 50 words total. She arrived at 7 each morning, made breakfast, brought it to Dante, sat in her chair across the room, hummed her wordless melodies, read her book, left at 7 in the evening. The second week, exactly the same. Enzo watched it all, couldn't help himself. Something about her presence was different. She didn't perform, didn't try to force connection, She just was. But nothing was happening. Dante still didn't speak. Barely moved. Ate mechanically. Existed, but didn't live. Marco approached Enzo in his office on day 10. Boss, the new girl. She's not following the therapy protocols. No physical exercises. No cognitive engagement. She just sits there. You want me to? No. Enzo's voice was flat. Final. Give her more time. Boss. I said no. Week 3. Monday morning. Celeste arrived with something new, a small hand drum. Gem, West African origin, maybe 10 inches across. Worn leather head, carved wooden body. She set it on her lap. Positioned her chair slightly closer to Dante. Not crowding. Just nearer. And she played. Not loud. Not performative. Simple rhythms. Heartbeat patterns. Boom tap tap. Boom tap tap. The kind of sound that gets into your bones before your brain registers it. Dante's eyes opened. He'd been half asleep, the way he always was, checked out, somewhere else. The drumming continued. Boom tap tap. Boom tap tap. His fingers twitched. Celeste didn't look at him. Kept her eyes on the drum, kept the rhythm steady. Added a variation. Boom boom tap. Tap tap boom. Dante's hand moved an inch across the armrest of his wheelchair. In his office, Enzo leaned so close to the monitor his nose almost touched the screen. Come on, kid. Come on. The rhythm changed again. Faster. Syncopated. Tap boom tap boom tap tap boom. Dante's finger lifted. Came down. Tapped once on the armrest. Celeste's hands stilled on the drum. She looked at him. First time she'd made direct eye contact. Smiled. Not a triumphant smile. Not an excited progress smile that therapists wore like medals. Just acknowledgement. I see you. You're there. Then she went back to playing. Tuesday, Dante tapped twice. Wednesday, for taps, matching her rhythm. Thursday, he tapped a different rhythm back. Call and response. The oldest form of human conversation. Friday, Celeste brought a second, smaller drum. Set it on the table beside Dante's wheelchair. Within reach. She played her rhythm. Boom tap tap boom. Waited. 10 seconds. 20. 40. Then, Dante's hand moved. Slowly, like moving through honey. Reached out. Touched the drum. Tapped. Tap. Tap. Tap tap. Celeste's rhythm joined his. They played together. 30 seconds of imperfect, halting, beautiful sound. When it stopped, Celeste said quietly, Tomorrow I'll bring something else. If you want. Dante's eyes met hers. He nodded. In his office, Enzo realized he was crying. He hadn't cried since the hospital. Since the doctors said paralyzed and permanent and learned to adapt. Since his wife packed her bags and couldn't even look at their son before she left. But here he was. The architect. The man who'd built an empire on the corpses of his enemies. Weeping at a goddamn drum circle. That weekend, Enzo did something he'd never done before. He went deeper into Celeste's background. Not just employment records and public documents. He called in favors. Had his people access medical records, financial statements, private correspondence. What he found made his blood run cold. Hospital records from Mass General for months ago. Patient, Celeste Okafor. Chief complaint, severe headaches, vision disturbances, balance problems. MRI results, 4.2 centimeters mass in left temporal lobe. Diagnosis, glioblastoma multiforme, grade 4. Prognosis, inoperable, 6 to 12 months. Treatment recommended, aggressive chemotherapy and radiation. Treatment plan, patient declined. Enzo read it 3 times. She's dying. She came here knowing she's dying. He pulled up her financial records. Medical debt from her daughter's treatment, $340,000. Still paying it off. Collection agencies, payment plans, wages garnished. Every paycheck she earned here, she was sending money back to Nigeria. To her parents, her sisters, extended family depending on her. She was spending her last months on Earth working as a maid, sending money to family, trying to die with dignity and purpose. And she was teaching his son to live. Enzo switched to the live camera feed. Saturday afternoon, Dante's room. Celeste had brought a small keyboard, battery-powered, maybe 2 octaves. The kind of thing you'd buy for a child learning piano. She showed Dante middle C, played a simple scale. Do re mi fa sol la ti do. Then she put his right hand on the keys. Guided his fingers, one at a time. Do. Re mi. Music doesn't care if you can walk, she said quietly. It only cares if you can feel. Dante pressed a key. The note hung in the air. He pressed another. Another. Do me so. A simple triad. C major. The happiest sound in Western music. He looked at his own hand like he'd never seen it before. I can do something, he whispered. First words in 3 years. Celeste's eyes shimmered, but her voice stayed steady. You can do anything, Tesoro. Your legs don't define what you're capable of. They never did. I'm broken. No. She took his hand. You're changed. There's a difference. A broken thing can't grow. But something that's changed? That can become something new. Something stronger than it was before. Dante's lip trembled. My mom left because Your mother left because she couldn't face her own pain. That's not your burden to carry. Celeste's voice was gentle but firm. You are not responsible for other people's inability to see your worth. Who are you? She smiled. Sad and beautiful and devastating. I'm someone who knows what it's like to watch someone you love suffer. And I'm someone who wishes I'd had more time to teach my daughter that being alive is about so much more than what your body can do. Your daughter. Her name was Adana. She was 7 when she died. Leukemia. Celeste's thumb traced the pendant on her necklace, the musical note. This was hers. She loved music more than anything. Dante stared at her. I'm sorry. Me too, baby. Me too. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Celeste straightened, brushed her hands on her pants. Tomorrow, we'll learn a real song. Something with both hands. You ready? Dante looked at the keyboard. At his hands. At this woman who somehow saw him as something other than broken. Yeah, he said. I'm ready. In his office, Enzo watched them and made a decision. It was time to talk to Celeste Okafor. Time to tell her he knew. Everything. Tuesday morning, week 4. Enzo didn't sleep the night before. Kept watching old footage. Celeste arriving each day, calm and purposeful. The way she moved through the house. No wasted motion, no fear, like she'd already made peace with something. She knows she's dying, and she's spending her last months taking care of my son. Why? He needed to understand. But before he could arrange to speak with her, everything went to hell. It started with physical therapy. Dante had a standing appointment every Tuesday and Thursday with Dr. Ramon Chun, the best rehabilitation specialist money could buy. Home visits, state-of-the-art equipment brought to the estate, everything customized for Dante's injury level. Celeste had been with them for a month. Dr. Chun had watched the progression, Dante more alert, more engaged, actually participating instead of enduring. This session, core strengthening exercises. Seated, using resistance bands, working the muscles that still functioned above the injury site. Good. Dante, Dr. Chun encouraged. 3 more. You're getting stronger. Dante pulled the bands. Chest, shoulders, arms responding. Building the upper body strength that would give him independence in his wheelchair, ability to transfer himself, control his life. 1, 2, 3. Excellent. Let's try. Why? Dante's voice cut through the room. Sharp. Sudden. Dr. Chun paused. Why what? Why am I doing this? To build strength. To maintain your health. To what? Dante's hands clenched the resistance bands. To be a strong cripple instead of a weak one? What's the fucking point? Celeste, sitting in her usual chair, closed her book. Didn't speak. Just watched. Dr. Chun used his professional voice. Calm, therapeutic. Dante, I know this is frustrating, but maintaining your physical health is crucial for what? Dante's voice rose. For living a long, healthy life in this goddamn chair? For getting really good at being half a person? You're not half a person. Then why can't I walk? The shout tore out of him. Raw. 3 years of silence breaking open all at once. Why can't I run? Why can't I play soccer or go upstairs to my old room, or take a piss without someone watching to make sure I don't fall? He threw the resistance bands across the room. Dr. Chun stepped back, hands raised. Dante, get out. Dante's face was red, tears streaming. Get out, get out, get out. In his office, Enzo was already moving. Up from his desk, through the halls, heading for his son's room. Marco called through the radio. Boss, should I stay the fuck back? Everyone stay back. But before Enzo could reach the room, Dante's rage peaked. He grabbed the small keyboard Celeste had brought, raised it over his head. I'm useless, he screamed. I'm a burden, and I'm useless, and I should have died in that parking lot. He hurled the keyboard at the wall. It shattered, keys and circuits exploding across hardwood. Then he went for the wheelchair controls, spun himself violently toward the window. The massive floor-to-ceiling window overlooking the gardens. Dr. Chen lunged. Dante and oh. But Celeste was faster. She stepped in front of the wheelchair. Not grabbing. Not restraining. Just there. Blocking the path. Her voice was quiet. Deadly calm. Do it then. Dante stared at her. Chest heaving. Face wet with tears and rage and 3 years of compressed agony. What? You want to go through that window? Do it. Ram this chair into the glass and fall 3 stories and finish what the bomb started. Her eyes were steady. Unflinching. But don't you dare tell me you're useless. Don't you dare insult the fight you've survived by calling it worthless. You don't understand. I don't understand. Her voice rose for the first time since she'd arrived. I don't understand. She pulled the pendant from under her blouse. The musical note. Held it up. My daughter had leukemia. 7 years old. Do you know what she said to me the week before she died? She said, Mama, I can't wait to be healthy so I can dance again. She believed, right up until the moment she couldn't breathe anymore, that her body would heal, that she'd get to be a kid again. Tears rolled down Celeste's face, but her voice didn't waver. She never got that chance. She died in a hospital bed, 90 pounds, bald, so full of poison from the chemo that her body just gave up. And you know what the last thing she said was? Dante couldn't speak. She said, at least I got to hear music. That was it. That was her piece. She got to hear music before she died. Celeste stepped closer, knelt down so she was eye level with Dante in his chair. You are alive. Your mind is brilliant. Your heart still beats. Your hands can create beautiful things. You have people who love you, resources most people only dream of, and time, Dante, to figure out who you are beyond this chair. Her voice dropped to a whisper. I'm dying. I have maybe 6 months, maybe 8 if I'm lucky, and I'm spending them here because I want my last act on this earth to matter. I want to help someone see that life isn't about what you've lost. It's about what you do with what remains. Dante's rage crumbled. The fire went out. What remained was just a broken kid. I'm scared, he whispered. I know. I don't know how to live like this. No one does at first. That's why we learn. Together. What if I can't? Celeste took his hands. Then we'll sit with that fear until it gets smaller. We'll make music until you remember what joy feels like. We'll build a life that doesn't look like the one you planned, but might be just as beautiful if you let it be. Dante looked at their joined hands. Why do you care? Because someone should have cared this much about my daughter. Because you deserve to know that your value isn't measured in steps or sports or anything your body does. Because I see you, Dante Marchetti. Not the wheelchair. Not the tragedy. You. He broke then. Really broke. Sobbed like he hadn't since the hospital. 3 years of grief and rage and terror pouring out. Celeste pulled him into her arms. Let him collapse against her. Held him while he shook. I've got you, she murmured. Mama's got you. And in the doorway, frozen, Enzo watched. Dr. Chen stood beside him, equally stunned. Who is she? The doctor whispered. Enzo's voice was rough. She's the only person who's told him the truth. 20 minutes later, Dante was calm. Exhausted. Celeste had him drink water, got him into bed for a rest. Dr. Chen quietly packed his equipment. I'll come back Thursday. If that's all right. Thursday, Celeste confirmed. When everyone was gone, she knelt beside the broken keyboard, gathered the pieces. Some could be fixed. Some were destroyed beyond repair. Kind of like people, she thought. She looked up at the camera in the corner. The one she'd always known was there. Looked directly at it. At Enzo, watching. And mouthed 2 words. We need to talk. They met in Enzo's office at midnight. Celeste had put Dante to bed 3 hours earlier. Read to him until he fell asleep. Not a children's book, but poetry. Mary Oliver. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert, repenting. Now she sat across from Lorenzo Marchetti in his inner sanctum, surrounded by monitors showing every angle of his fortress, and she wasn't afraid. Enzo studied her. This woman who'd walked into his house and somehow reached his son when everyone else failed. Up close, he could see the subtle signs he'd missed on cameras, the slight tremor in her left hand, the way she occasionally lost focus, just for a second, like a skip in a record, the faint scar at her hairline from where they'd biopsied the tumor. You know about the cameras, he said. Not a question. I've known since day one. 463 feeds. Rotating monitoring team. Nothing happens in this house that you don't see. She met his eyes. You're a control freak who's terrified of losing the one thing you can't protect through violence. Most people would have died for speaking to him that way. Enzo almost smiled. You're not afraid of me. Should I be? Everyone else is. Everyone else has something to lose. She touched her pendant. I'm dying, Mr. Marchetti. You can't threaten someone who's already on borrowed time. There it was. Out in the open. Glioblastoma, Enzo said quietly. Grade 4. Left temporal lobe. Inoperable. 6 to 12 months. Probably closer to 6 at this point. Diagnosed 4 months ago. You declined treatment. Celeste didn't flinch. You did your homework. I always do. What I don't understand is why. He leaned forward. Why take this job? Why spend your last months taking care of a stranger's kid? Why not go home to Nigeria? Be with your family? Travel? Do whatever the fuck people do when they're dying. Because none of that would matter. Her voice was soft, but absolute. Going home would mean watching my parents bury another daughter. They already buried Adana with me. Traveling alone would just be running from the inevitable. But this, she gestured around. Helping your son? That matters. That lasts beyond me. You're using my son for what? Redemption? Closure? No. Fire flashed in her eyes. I'm giving him what I couldn't give my daughter. Time. Hope. A chance to see that disability doesn't mean death. Adana died wishing she could have a normal body. I don't want Dante to die, whether that's tomorrow or in 60 years, wishing the same thing. I want him to live fully in the body he has. Enzo sat back, ran a hand over his tattooed scalp. My wife left because she couldn't handle seeing him like this. I know. I saw the empty rooms. The photos you took down. I didn't take them down. She did. Before she left. Said she couldn't bear to remember who he was before. That's her trauma. Not his. He thinks he's the reason she left. He is. But not because he did anything wrong. Because she couldn't face her own failure to protect him. Celeste leaned forward. Mr. Marchetti, your son doesn't need someone to fix his body. He needs someone to help him build a life worth living in the body he has. That's what I'm trying to do. For 6 months. Then you'll die and he'll lose someone else. The words hung between them like a blade. Celeste's composure cracked, just slightly. I know. I've thought about that every single day. But I can't not help him just because I won't be here forever. None of us get forever. All we get is right now. And right now, I can teach him music. I can show him joy. I can help him remember that he's human, not just a tragedy. He called you mama today. I heard. That's going to make it worse when you're gone. Maybe. She wiped her eyes. Or maybe it'll show him that love doesn't die just because bodies do. That the people who shape us stay with us. I carry Adana every day. Every song I teach Dante is one she taught me. Every lesson about resilience is one I learned watching her fight. She's still here. Her voice broke. Let me be here for your son. Please. Let me matter before I'm gone. Enzo was quiet for a long time. Outside the windows, the estate grounds were dark except for the patrol routes of armed guards. An empire built on violence, trying to protect one boy who just wanted to live. Finally, what do you need from me? Stop watching certain rooms. Give us privacy. Dante needs space to be angry, to be scared, to be real without an audience. Those cameras keep him safe. Those cameras keep him imprisoned. I'm not saying turn them all off. But his bedroom? The music room? Let him have places where he can just be. Enzo's jaw tightened. Every instinct screamed against it. But he thought of Dante's breakthrough today. The way he'd finally cried. Finally spoke. Finally admitted he was scared. Fine. I'll disable feeds in his private spaces. But common areas, hallways, exits, those stay active. Fair. And you accept security protocols. Vincent Calabrese is still out there. He tried to kill Dante once. He could try again. I'll follow your protocols. Enzo stood, walked to the window, stared out at his fortress. I want to pay for treatment. Experimental trials. Best oncologists in the world. There are facilities in Germany, Japan, clinical trials in. No. You haven't heard what. No. Celeste's voice was gentle but immovable. I watched my daughter go through 2 years of chemo. Watched poison destroy her from the inside. Watched her lose her hair, her strength, her ability to eat or sleep or play. She suffered every single day for the chance at more time. And you know what? If I'd known how it would end, I would have given her 2 beautiful years instead of 2 agonizing ones. She stood, faced him. I don't want to spend my last months vomiting in hospital rooms and losing my mind to radiation. I want to spend them teaching your son to play piano. I want to matter. Let me have that. Enzo turned to look at her. This woman who'd walked into his fortress and somehow became essential. Who saw his son as whole when everyone else saw broken. Who was dying and chose to spend her final chapter saving someone else's child because she couldn't save her own. Okay, he said quietly. Okay. Relief softened her features. Thank you. But, he moved closer. You keep me informed. If your symptoms get worse. If you need anything. If there's pain. I have resources. Medications. Whatever you need to be comfortable while you're here. I will. And when it gets close to the end. His voice roughened. We handle it right. No suffering. No hospital. If you want to be here, with Dante, we make that happen. Hospice care, pain management, whatever you need. You don't die alone in some sterile fucking room. You understand. Tears spilled down Celeste's cheeks. Why would you do that? You barely know me. Because you're giving my son his life back. Because you're spending your death, making sure he learns how to live. Because. He looked away, jaw working. Because I couldn't save him from that bomb. And I can't fix his spine. But I can make sure the woman who's saving him doesn't suffer. That's the least I can fucking do. Celeste moved forward. Did something shocking. She hugged him. Lorenzo Marchetti, the architect, the man who'd killed dozens and ordered the deaths of hundreds, stood rigid in surprise. Then slowly, carefully, like he'd forgotten how, he hugged her back. Thank you, she whispered against his shoulder. For letting me matter. When she pulled away, she wiped her eyes and smiled. I should go? Dante will wake up early tomorrow. He wants to learn a new song. What song? Claire de Lune. Debussy. It's complicated but beautiful. Like learning to live in a body that doesn't work the way you want it to. Difficult, but worth it. She walked to the door. Paused. Looked back. Mr. Marchetti? You're a good father. You just needed someone to show you that protection and control aren't the same as love. After she left, Enzo sat alone in his office, surrounded by camera feeds. He pulled up the recording from earlier. Dante's breakdown. The shattered keyboard. Celeste kneeling in front of him. I see you, Dante Marchetti. Not the wheelchair. Not the tragedy. You. He watched his son cry for the first time in 3 years. Watched Celeste hold him. Mama's got you. And the architect, the man who'd built an empire on fear, put his face in his hands and wept. The next 6 weeks were different. Enzo kept his promise. Disabled cameras in Dante's bedroom and the music room. It physically hurt him, every protective instinct screaming that he was leaving his son vulnerable. But he did it anyway, and watched his son transform. Mornings, Celeste arrived at dawn. Not to wake Dante, but to practice. She brought a full electronic keyboard now, set up in the music room. Enzo would watch from the hallway camera as she played, her left hand occasionally faltering, the tumor affecting fine motor control, but pushing through. She was teaching herself the pieces she'd teach Dante, learning them while her brain still could. By 8, Dante would will himself to the music room. Some days energetic, some days sullen. All days, she met him where he was. Not feeling it today, she'd ask when he came in silent and withdrawn. No, that's okay. We don't have to play. Want to just listen? And she'd play for him. Chopin, Beethoven, Nina Simone, John Coltrane. Music that held space for every emotion, rage, grief, joy, longing. On good days, they'd work together, her hands guiding his. Feel the keys. Don't just press. Feel what you're creating. Week 5, Dante played his first complete song. Paralyzed. Simplified arrangement, one hand at a time, but complete. When he finished, he looked at his hands in wonder. I did it. Celeste smiled. You did. Play it with me? Both of us. So they did. 4 hands on one keyboard, her deeper bass notes supporting his melody. Imperfect. Hesitant. Beautiful. Marco heard it from downstairs. Stopped mid-conversation with another guard. Boss, do you hear? Yeah. Enzo said quietly, listening through the hallway speaker. I hear it. Music. Real music. Not therapy. Not obligation. Joy. The house changed. Celeste didn't just teach music, she brought life. She convinced Dante to eat meals at the table instead of his room. Taught him to cook simple dishes from his wheelchair, adaptive techniques, specialized tools. Independence isn't about walking. It's about doing things for yourself. She organized movie nights, brought classic films, The Shawshank Redemption, Life is Beautiful, stories about hope in impossible situations. She talked to him like an equal. About books, about philosophy, about her daughter. Adana loved butterflies, Celeste said one afternoon while they practiced scales. Used to catch them in the garden, study their wings, then let them go. Said she liked knowing beautiful things could be free. Did she know? That she was dying. Near the end, yes. 7-year-olds are smarter than we think. Celeste's fingers stilled on the keys. She asked me once if heaven had music. I said, of course. She said, good. Then I won't be scared. Were you scared? Terrified. Every second of every day. She looked at him. Still am. Death is scary, Dante. Anyone who says otherwise is lying. But you know what I learned from her? What? That being scared doesn't mean you stop living. She was terrified, and she still laughed. Still played. Still found joy even when her body was failing. That's courage. Not the absence of fear. The refusal to let fear be the only thing. Week 7. Dante asked about her symptoms. Your hand shakes sometimes. When you play. Celeste didn't lie. The tumor affects motor control. It'll get worse. Does it hurt? Sometimes. Headaches mostly. I have medication. Are you scared? Yes. Of dying. Of not matching. Of being forgotten. Of dying alone. She looked at him. But I'm not alone. I'm here. With you. Teaching something that will last past me. That helps. Dante's voice was small. I don't want you to die. I know, sweetheart. I know. It's not fair. No. It's not. She took his hand. But we don't get to choose how long we live. We only get to choose what we do with the time we have. So let's make it count. Deal. He nodded, throat tight. Deal. But while healing happened inside the mansion, darkness gathered outside. Vincent Calabrese had been patient. 3 years since the failed hit. Long enough for Enzo to think the threat had passed. Long enough to get comfortable. His informants reported something interesting. The boy was recovering. Not physically. The damage was permanent. But emotionally. Laughing. Engaged. Living again. Vincent saw opportunity. The crippled son getting better, he mused to his lieutenant. That means Enzo's guard is down. He thinks his boy is safe. That's when we strike. When... Vincent smiled. Cruel and patient. Soon. Let them have their little recovery. Let them feel hope. Then we take it away. Back at the Marchetti estate, Celeste had a seizure. Small one. 30 seconds. Dante was at physical therapy, didn't see. But Enzo did. Camera feed from the music room. Celeste was practicing alone. Suddenly her hands locked. Body went rigid. Then she slumped over the keyboard in a discordant crash of notes. Marco burst into the music room 90 seconds later. Found her conscious but disoriented. Blood on her lip where she'd bitten through it. I'm fine, she insisted. Just a small one. It happens. You need a hospital. No. It'll pass. Just give me a minute. When Dante returned, she was sitting calmly, ready to teach. He never knew. But Enzo knew. And as he watched her smile at his son, teaching him to play Imagine by John Lennon, he felt something he hadn't felt since the bomb. Time running out. Not enough time. Never enough time. Can we talk about what's happening here for a second? Because I know some of you are feeling this. That weight in your chest. That question. How do you love someone when you know you're going to lose them? Celeste is teaching Dante how to live while she's learning how to die. And Enzo, this man who's spent his life controlling everything, is watching the two people he cares about most slip through his fingers despite all his power. That's the thing about stories like this. They remind us that some things matter more than money, more than control, more than safety. Connection matters. Love matters. Now matters. If you're invested in seeing how this ends, and I promise you, what's coming will absolutely wreck you in the best way possible, hit that subscribe button. Slam that notification bell. Because you're part of this journey now. Drop a comment and tell me. Would you make the same choice Celeste did? Would you spend your last months helping a stranger's child? Now let's talk about what happened when everything fell apart. Week 9. Celeste started having trouble with words. Can you pass me the thing? Her hand gestured toward the water bottle on the table. She knew what it was. Could see it. But the word wouldn't come. Water. Dante offered. Yes. Water. Thank you. Frustration flickered across her face. Enzo watched from the hallway. Later, he pulled up her medical files again. Updated notes from her last hospital visit. She'd finally agreed to monitoring, if not treatment. Tumor growth. 6.2 centimeters. Significant expansion into Wernicke's area. Patient experiencing aphasia episodes. Expressive language impairment. Motor control deteriorating. Prognosis unchanged. 3 to 5 months remaining. 3 to 5 months. She'd been here for 2 already. Celeste knew. Of course she knew. Her body was betraying her in small, undeniable ways. The tremor in her left hand spread to her arm. Some mornings she couldn't make coffee, couldn't grip the pot. The headaches intensified. She'd excuse herself, disappear to the bathroom, dry swallow pills, return with a smile. Her balance faltered. She started using a cane. Told Dante it was solidarity. If he had wheels, she'd have support. Made it a joke. But alone, in the quiet moments Enzo watched on camera, she'd sit at the piano and weep. Hands hovering over keys she'd soon be unable to play. She accelerated Dante's lessons. "We're doing 3 songs this week," she announced. 3? We usually do 1. I know, but you're ready. Trust me. So they worked. Morning to evening. Clair de lune. Comptine d'un autre été. River flows in you. Complex pieces. Beautiful pieces. The kind that took months to master. Dante didn't question her urgency, but he felt it. "Celeste, are you okay?" "I'm perfect, sweetheart. Keep playing. Your F sharp is flat." Week 10. Enzo did something unexpected. He joined them for dinner. Not the boss observing. Not the distant father checking in. He sat at the table. Ate with them. Asked questions. "What are you learning today?" Dante, surprised. Chopin. Nocturne in E-flat major. "Play it for me later?" "Really? Really?" Celeste smiled across the table at Enzo. Mouth. "Thank you." He nodded. "You're welcome." Later that night, after Dante went to sleep, Celeste and Enzo sat in the garden. She needed fresh air, she said. The headaches were worse indoors. "How long do you really have?" Enzo asked. "Honestly, I don't know. Could be 3 months. Could be 3 weeks if something ruptures." She looked up at the stars. Time's funny when you're dying. Some days feel like years. Others disappear before you realize they've started. "What can I do?" Keep being his father. Not from camera feeds. Be present. That's what he needs more than any security system. When you're gone. When I'm gone, he'll grieve. Let him. Don't try to fix it or rush him through it. Grief is love with nowhere to go. He needs to feel it. How do I help him through that? You remember me. You talk about me. You play the recordings of us making music together. You show him that people we lose don't disappear. They live in what they taught us. She turned to him. And you finish what I started. Keep him playing. Keep him growing. Don't let him go back into that shell. I don't know how to do this without you. Yes, you do. You're his father. You've always known how. You were just too scared to try. That same night, 300 miles away, Vincent Calabrese made his move. "It's time," he told his men. "The Marchetti estate. Full assault. I want the boy dead. And make sure Enzo watches. When? 2 weeks. Let him think he's safe. Then we burn it all down." Week 11. Celeste collapsed. Right hand suddenly useless. Stroke-like episode. The tumor pressing on motor cortex. Enzo had her transported to the estate's medical suite. Yes, he had a full medical suite, staffed 24/7. Dr. Chin examined her while Dante waited outside, terrified. "She's stable," Dr. Chin reported. "But Mr. Marchetti, this is progressing faster than expected. She needs hospice care. Comfort measures. The seizures will get worse. The paralysis will spread. She has weeks, maybe days." Does she know? She's always known. When Celeste woke, Dante was sitting beside her bed, holding her hand, the right one that no longer worked. "Hey," she whispered. "Don't do that again," he said, voice breaking. "Don't scare me like that. I'm sorry, baby. I need you." "I'm not ready," his voice cracked. "I'm not ready for you to go." "I know, but ready or not, it's coming." She squeezed his hand with her left. "So we make every moment count. Deal. Deal. Good. Now help me sit up. I want to see if I can still play with one hand." "Celeste, music doesn't care if I'm broken, remember? It only cares if I can feel." She smiled through tears. "Let's go make something beautiful while we still can." Week 12. Celeste had an idea. "A concert," she announced at breakfast. Dante looked up from his eggs. "What? A concert?" "You and me. A proper performance. Not practice. Not therapy. A real concert." "Celeste, I don't think." "Why not? You've learned 8 complex pieces. You can play beautifully. Why shouldn't people hear it?" "Because I'm..." He gestured at his wheelchair. At himself. "Because you're what? Talented? Dedicated? Brave enough to create art despite tragedy." She leaned forward. "Dante, you're ready. And I want to hear you play in front of an audience before I can't hear anything at all." Enzo, listening from the next room, felt his chest tighten. She wants to see him succeed before she dies. Okay, Dante said quietly. Okay, we'll do it. They had 1 week to prepare. Celeste drew up a program. 6 pieces. 3 solo, Dante, 2 duets, both of them, 1 solo from her. A traditional Nigerian lullaby her mother had taught her. Who do we invite? Dante asked. Your father, his trusted people. And, she paused. Would you want to invite your mother? Dante's face closed off. No. Dante. She left. She doesn't get to see this. This isn't for her. It's for you. Showing her what she missed. Showing her you're not broken. Celeste's voice was gentle. Sometimes the best revenge is living well. He considered. Will you ask her? I can't. I'll ask. Juliana Marchetti hadn't been to the estate in 3 years. She arrived in a black sedan, designer clothes, sunglasses hiding her eyes. Still beautiful. Still haunted. Enzo met her at the door. Thank you for coming, he said stiffly. You said it was important. It is. Our son wants to play piano for you. Piano. She looked confused. Since when does Dante play piano? Since someone taught him he could. Celeste appeared at the top of the stairs. Leaning on her cane, moving slowly. Juliana stared. Who was that? The woman who did what we couldn't. She gave him hope. The music room had been transformed. Chairs arranged in rows. The grand piano polished until it gleamed. Soft lighting. Fresh flowers, Celeste's request. 20 people attended. Enzo's most trusted guards, Marco and his wife, Dr. Chun, the household staff who'd watched Dante grow. And Juliana, sitting in the back, arms crossed defensively. Celeste and Dante waited in the hallway. You ready? She asked. I'm terrified. Good. That means it matters. She adjusted his collar. Remember, this isn't about perfection. It's about sharing what you've created. It's about showing them that beauty doesn't require a whole body, just a whole heart. What if I mess up? Then you keep playing. Music isn't about being perfect. It's about being human. Dante rolled to the piano, positioned himself, hands shaking slightly as they found the keys. The room fell silent. He played Clair de Lune, soft, tentative at first, then growing in confidence. The melody spilling out like moonlight, like water, like memory made sound. Every note precise. Every phrase shaped with the care Celeste had taught him. Not just playing music, feeling it, living it. In the back row, Juliana's hand covered her mouth. That's my son. That's my boy. The piece ended. Silence. Then applause. Not polite, obligatory clapping. Real applause. Marco stood. Others followed. Standing ovation. Dante looked stunned. Then smiled. Real, genuine joy. Next, River Flows in You. A duet. Celeste wheeled herself to the bench beside him. Her right hand useless now, but her left still strong. They'd rearrange the piece. She'd take the bass line. He'd carry the melody. For hands. 2 broken people. 1 complete sound. When they finished, Enzo was crying openly. Didn't bother hiding it. Finally, Celeste's piece. A Nigerian lullaby. No written music. Just memory. Just tradition passed from her grandmother to her mother to her to Adana to now. This room. This moment. She sang in Igbo. Voice cracking with emotion. Left hand moving across keys in patterns older than nations. NWAM, NWAM, Izigbo NWAM. My child, my good child. The lullaby Adana had fallen asleep to every night. The song Celeste had sung in the hospital as her daughter's breath slowed, stopped, ended. Now sung for Dante. For all of them. A blessing and a goodbye. When she finished, there wasn't applause. Just silence. Heavy. Holy. The kind that comes when you've witnessed something you'll carry forever. Juliana stood. Walked forward. Knelt in front of Dante's wheelchair. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry. I should never have left. I should never have made you feel like you were less than perfect. You're amazing. You've always been amazing. Dante's eyes filled. Mom. They embraced. 3 years of distance closing in a moment. In his office, Enzo's phone buzzed. Marco's voice, urgent. Boss, we've got a problem. Perimeter cameras picked up movement. Multiple vehicles. Looks like gunfire erupted. The mansion's alarm screamed to life. Vincent Calabrese's men had arrived. Chaos. The music room erupted into movement. Guards drawing weapons. Enzo shouting orders. Juliana screaming. Get Dante to the safe room. Enzo barked at Marco. Now, more gunfire. Closer. The attackers weren't probing. This was a full assault. Breach at the east gate. Explosions at the south wall. Vincent wanted blood. Marco grabbed Dante's wheelchair. Let's go, kid. Move, move, move. But Celeste was in the way. Still at the piano. Moving too slowly. The cane slipping. Her body not responding fast enough. Celeste, come on. Dante reached for her. Go, she shouted. I'll be right behind you. I'm not leaving you. You don't have a choice. An explosion. The east window shattered. Glass everywhere. Guards returning fire. Marco made the decision, grabbed Dante's wheelchair, started pushing toward the panic room 3 hallways away. Enzo covered their retreat, pistol in hand, moving with the cold precision of someone who'd survived 100 firefights. Celeste tried to follow. Took 2 steps. Her left leg gave out. Collapsed. The cane clattered away. Celeste! Dante's scream echoed through the chaos. But Marco was already around the corner, following protocol. Get the principal to safety. Nothing else matters. Enzo saw her fall. Had to choose. Pursue his son to safety or go back for. A figure appeared in the shattered window. Masked. Armed. Vincent's lieutenant. Aimed at Celeste on the ground. Enzo put 2 rounds in his chest before conscious thought caught up. The body dropped. Then he was moving. Back toward her. Can you stand? No. My left side. I can't. The tumor had stolen her mobility. Perfect timing. Fuck. Enzo holstered his weapon, bent, scooped her up bodily. She weighed nothing. Disease had eaten away muscle, fat, everything. Where's Dante? She gasped. Safe room. I'll get you there. No. Her hand gripped his shirt. The wheelchair. In the hallway. I need. You're not walking anywhere. Not for me. For Dante. He'll need it if we have to evacuate. Get it. Enzo made a decision that defied all tactical sense. Set her down behind a overturned couch. Stay here. Sprinted to grab Dante's spare wheelchair from the hallway. Gunfire tracked him. Bullets punched into walls. He didn't stop. Grabbed the chair. Willed it back. Got Celeste into it. You're insane, she said. I'm learning from the best. He started pushing. Fast. Hold on. They made it 20 feet before more attackers appeared. 3 men. Automatic weapons. Enzo spun the wheelchair behind a marble column. Drew his weapon. Stay down. The math was bad. 3 on 1. Limited ammunition. No cover except this column. He took the first shooter with 2 shots. Clean. The second shooter's burst chewed into the marble inches from his head. Then reinforcements arrived, his guards pouring in from both sides. Professional. Coordinated. Within 90 seconds, all 3 attackers were down. Boss, are you? I'm fine. Get her to the safe room. Now. 2 guards took over pushing Celeste's wheelchair. Enzo followed, weapon up, scanning for threats. Behind them, something was wrong. Too easy. The assault had been fierce but scattered. Like Vincent's men were searching, not executing a plan. Because they weren't here for Enzo. They were here for Dante. And while Enzo was saving Celeste, they'd flanked the safe room. Marco's voice crackled over the radio. Boss, we've got a problem. 3 hostiles breached the north corridor. They're heading for the panic room. Enzo was running before Marco finished speaking. The safe room was on the mansion's 3rd floor. Reinforced door. Biometric locks. Should have been impenetrable. But Vincent's men had come prepared. Enzo burst into the north corridor to see 3 masked men placing shaped charges on the safe room door. Beyond that door, Dante, Juliana, 2 guards. He didn't hesitate. Opened fire. 1 shooter down. The second spun, returned fire. Bullets screaming past Enzo's head. Then Celeste's voice behind him. Down. He dropped. A gunshot cracked from her direction. The second shooter staggered. Fell. Enzo looked back. Celeste was slumped in her wheelchair, left hand holding his spare pistol, the one from his ankle holster, right hand dead in her lap. I was a music therapist, she said weakly. But my father was a soldier. The 3rd attacker ran. Smart man. Enzo opened the safe room door. Dante was there, white-faced but unhurt. Juliana clutching him. Dad, you're okay. You're okay. Enzo pulled his son into a fierce hug. I've got you. Then Celeste made a sound. Not a word. Just a sound. Strangled. Wrong. She slumped sideways in the wheelchair. Celeste. Dante's scream tore through the mansion. Enzo caught her before she hit the floor. Get Dr. Chun. Now. But he could see it wasn't a bullet wound. Wasn't injury from the attack. It was the tumor. Massive seizure. Her body convulsing. Eyes rolled back. foam at her lips. The stress, the adrenaline, the fear. It had triggered something catastrophic. Dr. Chin arrived within minutes. Examined her while Dante sobbed, held back by guards. She's seizing continuously. Status epilepticus. The tumor's pressing on. He looked at Enzo. We need to move her to the medical suite. But Mr. Marchetti, this is it. Her brain is shutting down. Hours. Maybe less. Can you stop the seizures? Yes. With enough medication. But she'll be unconscious. She won't wake up. Do it. I don't want her suffering. They moved her carefully. Dante insisted on staying with her. Enzo didn't have the heart to say no. The medical suite, sterile, quiet, filled with equipment that could monitor life but not save it. Celeste lay in the bed. Medication stopped the seizures, gave her peace. But Dr. Chin's prognosis was brutal. The tumor has caused a major bleed. She's comatose. She won't regain consciousness. I'd say 6 hours. Maybe 12. Dante gripped her hand. The left one, the one that still had some warmth. No. No. She has to wake up. She has to say goodbye. But Celeste didn't wake. Outside, in the wreckage of the mansion, Enzo's men were cleaning up. 12 attackers dead. 2 of his guards injured. Vincent Calabrese himself was found in a car half a mile away, bullet through his head. Self-inflicted. Realized the assault had failed, took the coward's way out. The threat was over. But the victory tasted like ash. Because inside the medical suite, the woman who'd saved them all was dying. They kept her comfortable. Dr. Chin monitored her vitals, adjusted medications, made sure there was no pain. She can't feel anything. Her brain activity is minimal. She's peaceful. Can she hear us? Dante asked. We don't know. Maybe. It's possible. So Dante talked to her. He wheeled himself right up to the bed, took her hand, and spoke. I don't know if you can hear me. Dr. Chin says maybe. So I'm going to assume you can. I'm okay. We're all okay. Dad got us to safety. Mom's here. She stayed. Said she's not leaving again. And the bad guys are gone. Vincent's dead. It's over. You saved us. You know that, right? You grabbed Dad's gun and you shot that guy and you saved us. Even dying, you were still protecting me. I'm so angry at you right now. You knew. You knew you were dying and you didn't tell me. Not really. You said months. Plural. This isn't months. This is right now and I'm not ready. I need more time. I need more lessons. I need you to see me walk. Because I'm going to walk again. I swear I am. I'm going to work so hard and I'm going to walk and you won't be here to see it. And that's not fair. Tears streamed down his face. It's not fair. Juliana sat on the other side of the bed. I don't know you well, she said softly. But I know you did for my son what I couldn't. You stayed. You saw him as whole when I could only see broken. That's a gift I can never repay. Enzo stood at the foot of the bed, arms crossed, trying to hold himself together. You were right. About everything. I was hiding behind cameras and control and fear. You showed me how to actually be his father. I won't forget that. I'll finish what you started. I promise. The hours passed. Celeste's breathing slowed. Became shallow. The monitors showed her heart rate dropping. Blood pressure falling. Dr. Chin checked at hour 4. Soon now? Maybe an hour. Maybe less. Dante had an idea. The keyboard. From the music room. Can someone get it? Marco brought it up. Small electronic keyboard. Battery powered. Dante positioned it across his lap. Looked at Celeste's still face. You always said music is what matters. That it's how we connect to each other and to something bigger. So I'm going to play for you. All the songs you taught me. And maybe, if you're going somewhere else after this, maybe you'll take them with you. Maybe you'll hear music wherever you're going. He started with Claire de Lune. The same piece he'd played at the concert. The piece she'd taught him through tears and tremors and determination. His hands were steadier now. More confident. Every lesson she'd given him lived in these movements. Then River Flows in You. Then Imagine. Then the Nigerian lullaby she'd sung just hours ago. NWAM, NWAM, Izigbo, NWAM. He sang the words she'd taught him, pronunciation terrible but heart perfect. At hour 6, Celeste's breathing changed. Longer pauses between breaths. Shane Stokes pattern. Her body preparing for the end. Dr. Chun checked the monitors. Minutes now. Dante kept playing. For Elise. The first complete song he'd ever learned from her. Breath. Long pause. Breath. Longer pause. Dante. Enzo said gently. You should stop playing. You should just be with her. Music is how I'm with her. Dante's voice was thick with tears, but determined. This is how I say goodbye. He switched to one more song. The last one. The piece she'd been teaching him before the attack. Comptine d'un autre été. Lappers midi. Jan Tiersen. Delicate. Heartbreaking. Perfect. He played. And as his hands moved across the keys, Celeste Okafor took her last breath. No gasping. No struggle. Just a breath that went out and didn't come back in. The monitors flatlined. Steady tone. Dr. Chun moved forward. Checked for pulse. Found none. Time of death, 3:47 a.m. He turned off the monitors. The flatline stopped. Silence except for Dante's playing. He kept playing. Finished the song. Every note. Every phrase. Exactly as she'd taught him. When the last note faded, he lowered his hands to his lap. Goodbye, Mama Celeste, he whispered. Thank you for teaching me that being alive is about so much more than what your body can do. I'll remember. I promise. I'll live fully. For both of us. He leaned forward, kissed her forehead, then collapsed sobbing across her still body. Juliana wrapped her arms around him. Enzo's hand rested on his son's shoulder. And they grieved. Together. Finally, a family again. Even if it took losing her to become one. Before we go to the ending, let me ask you something. You just spent the last hour with these people. You felt their pain, their love, their sacrifice. You watched a woman spend her dying months giving hope to a boy who'd lost everything. If that moved you, if this story reminded you what we're capable of when we choose love over fear, connection over control, then show it some love. Hit that like button. Leave a comment about what moment hit you hardest, because I read every single one, and your words matter. And subscribe. It's free. It takes 2 seconds. And it's how stories like this stay alive. Don't be someone who takes without giving back. Hit that button. Now let's see what happened 6 months later. Because Celeste's story didn't end with her death. It was just beginning. 6 months later. The cemetery was quiet. Early morning. Dew still on the grass. 2 headstones side by side, just as Dante had requested. Adana Grace Wright. Beloved daughter. She heard music. Celeste Okafor. Mother, teacher, light. She taught us to live. Dante sat in his wheelchair between the graves. Not the same wheelchair. This one was lighter, more maneuverable. Custom built for someone who'd regained core strength and independence. He'd changed in 6 months. Physically, physical therapy 5 days a week. Upper body significantly stronger. Could transfer himself from chair to car, chair to bed, chair to anywhere without assistance. Swimming twice a week. Adaptive sports on weekends. Mentally, therapy. Real therapy. Processing grief, trauma, his mother's abandonment, his father's emotional distance. Learning that healing isn't linear. And most importantly, living. Really living. Hey, he said to the headstones. It's been a minute. Sorry I haven't visited in a couple weeks. Things have been crazy. So I've got news. Big news. We launched the foundation last month. The Marchetti Okafor Foundation for Adaptive Care. Dad put in $2 million to start. We're funding music therapy programs in hospitals across the state. Bringing in adaptive instruments. Training therapists in your methods, Celeste. We've already helped 43 kids. 43 kids who thought they were broken, who thought disability meant the end of joy. And we're teaching them what you taught me. Your body doesn't define your worth. He pulled out a folder. Set it on his lap. I brought something to show you. He opened the folder. Letters. Dozens of them. Handwritten. Typed. Crayon drawings. Letters from the kids. From their families. Listen to this one. Asterisk, Dear Dante, my name is Marcus and I'm 12 and I have CP and I thought I could never do anything cool, but then your teacher came to my hospital and taught me drums and now I play every day and my mom says I smile more. Thank you for sharing her with us. Asterisk. And this one. My daughter Emma is 8. She lost her hearing from meningitis. Your music therapist taught her to feel rhythm through vibrations. She's dancing again. She's joyful again. You gave us our girl back. Bless you. There's like 50 more. 50 families saying you mattered. That what you taught me is spreading. That your daughter's love of music is rippling out through all these kids who needed someone to believe in them. Dante's voice cracked. You said you were afraid of not matching. Of being forgotten. Celeste, how could we ever forget you? You're in every note I play. Every kid we help. Every family we save from that dark place we were in. You're everywhere. He wiped his eyes. Continued. Other news, Mom moved back in. Not to the mansion. Dad set her up in a guest house on the property. There, I don't know, figuring it out. Not back together, but not enemies. They have dinner together once a week. For me, mostly. But I think they're healing too. Dad's changing the business. Getting out of the worst stuff. He says he doesn't want to build an empire on violence anymore. Says he'd rather build something that would make you proud. He's funding 3 more disability centers this year. Says it's good business. But I know the truth. He's trying to atone. Trying to earn what you gave us for free. And me? Dante smiled. I'm competing next month. Adaptive piano competition in Boston. Playing Comptine d'un autre été. The last song I played for you. I'm going to win. Not because I'm the best, but because every note will carry everything you taught me. He reached out, touched both headstones. Adana, I never met you, but I know you through your mom. She told me you loved butterflies, that you said beautiful things should be free. So I've been catching and releasing butterflies in your honor. 37 so far. I figure if you can see us from wherever you are, you're probably watching them fly and smiling. And Celeste, Mama, his voice broke completely. I miss you so much. Every day, every hour. I hear your voice in my head when I'm struggling. Music doesn't care if you're broken. It only cares if you can feel. I feel everything now. The grief, the joy, the fear, the hope, all of it. Because you taught me that being alive means feeling it all, not just the good stuff. And I'm living, Mama. I'm really living. I'm playing music. I'm helping kids. I'm making you proud. At least, I hope I am. A butterfly landed on Adana's headstone. Small, orange and black. Monarch. Dante watched it. Smiled through tears. Okay, I see you. Both of you. The butterfly's wings opened and closed. Opened and closed. Then it took flight. Circled once. Disappeared into the morning sky. Dante pulled out a small portable keyboard, the same kind Celeste had first brought him. Set it on his lap. And he played. The Nigerian lullaby. NWAM, NWAM, Izigbo, NWAM. His pronunciation was better now. He'd been practicing. Learning Igbo phrases. Honoring her heritage by carrying it forward. When he finished, he packed up the keyboard. Prepared to leave. I'll come back next week. I always do. Because this is how I remember you're still with me. By showing up. By honoring you. By living the life you helped me build. He started to wheel away. Paused. Looked back. Thank you, Mama Celeste. Thank you for seeing me when everyone else saw wreckage. Thank you for teaching me that wheelchairs don't define us. Our hearts do. Thank you for spending your death teaching me how to live. I love you. Adana is lucky to have you with her again. And I'm lucky I got to have you at all. Goodbye for now. But not forever. I'll keep making you proud. Every single day. I promise. He wheeled down the path toward the parking lot, where Enzo waited, leaning against a car. Not the bulletproof SUV he used to insist on. Just a car. You good? Enzo asked. Yeah, Dad. I'm good. They loaded into the car. Enzo driving. Dante in the passenger seat, wheelchair folded in the back. As they pulled away from the cemetery, Enzo said quietly, she'd be proud, you know, of who you're becoming. I hope so. I know so. Enzo glanced at his son. Thank you. For what? For giving me a second chance. For letting me learn how to be your father. For forgiving me. Dante reached over, squeezed his dad's shoulder. We're learning together, Dad. That's what she would have wanted. The car drove away from death, toward life. Behind them, the sun rose over the cemetery. Light spilling across marble and grass and 2 headstones that marked not endings, but transformation. Because Celeste Okafor had died. But her legacy lived in every note Dante played. Every child the foundation helped. Every moment Lorenzo Marchetti chose compassion over control. She'd spent her death teaching them how to live. And they were living. Fully. Beautifully. The final scene, 1 year later. A stage. Bright lights. Concert hall full of people. Dante at a grand piano. No longer the broken boy in the dark mansion. Now a young man, confident, alive, whole in all the ways that matter. Behind him on a screen, Celeste's photo. Radiant smile. Musical note, pennant catching light. Title card, the Marchetti Okafor Foundation Annual Concert. Dante speaks into the microphone. My teacher once told me that music doesn't care if you're broken. It only cares if you can feel. Tonight, I play for everyone who's been told they can't. For everyone who's been told they're less than. For everyone who needs to hear that your body doesn't define your worth. This is for you, Mama Celeste. And for your daughter, Adana. Thank you for teaching me that even in darkness, we can choose to be light. He begins to play. Comptine d'un autre été, Lapper's MIDI. Perfect, beautiful, heartbreaking, and hopeful all at once. The camera slowly pulls back. Wider, wider, showing the full audience, hundreds of people, kids in wheelchairs, families holding hands, doctors, therapists, donors, all of them connected by one woman's choice to spend her death teaching one boy how to live. And as Dante plays, a single monarch butterfly appears. Impossible, improbable, lands on the piano keys beside his hand, opens its wings. Dante playing, butterfly resting, Celeste's face on the screen, and the words, "Even in darkness, we can choose to be light." What did you think of that ending? Are you crying? Be honest. Tell me in the comments what moment hit you the hardest. If this story moved you, if it reminded you that life is precious and love transcends death, and we all have the power to matter, share it. Send it to someone who needs to hear that they're not defined by their struggles. And subscribe, because I've got more stories that will wreck you in the best way possible. Stories about people who choose light in the darkness. Stories that remind us what it means to be human. Thank you for being here. Thank you for feeling. Until next time, remember, you don't have to be whole to be worthy of love. You just have to be here. Fully. Bravely. Keep living. Keep feeling. Keep choosing light.